Welcome to
back.
the After 30.
After 30.
We love After 30.
We do. It always gets really sort of a little bit more gritty. um,
Bit more
yes.
unfiltered.
So if you've just been listening to our podcast episode 5, we've been talking about creating space and the opportunity and the ripples that those spaces can create. And I do get into the semantics of life a little bit sometimes, the use of words. And we were talking about the word little. And actually, I also want to talk about the word just because we often use it. And you hear so often, I'm just a mum, which also always kind of grates. And I always encourage people to try not to use that word because I think it's about a little bit like saying, your little space. It's just my studio. It's not going to be just my studio. And it triggered me, Melinda and I were talking about something that Mel Robbins shared. So, well, I don't know whether she shared it, but it was shared on her Instagram. And she was being interviewed and she started talking about the Nike tagline, just do it. And you may have seen it. It sort of went a little bit viral in the last week or so. And she was talking about the most powerful word in the 3-word phrase, tagline,
Yeah.
and talking about just. And I watched it and I felt very empowered. And then I felt very frustrated. It kind of went up and down.
Yeah.
And my real bone of contention is that because then I witnessed other people sharing it and saying, I've just done this, I've just done that, you can too. And I really feel like there's almost a little bit of clarification that would be really wonderful to go with it.
Yes.
And I think it would be really lovely for us to talk about that because
Well, we
we're
talked
not
about it
just,
yesterday.
what's
And
that?
we talked about this yesterday, and it was such a passionate
Yeah.
conversation, an emotional conversation for us yesterday. We actually couldn't record the podcast.
Yeah.
Because it was so big for both of us and it brought up a lot of emotion.
Yeah, it did.
For both of us yesterday. And we actually talked for 2 hours yesterday.
We did.
Around just. And so today it's more us actually bringing it down a notch so that we can talk about it constructively.
Yeah.
That's how passionate we were about it.
Yeah. Because I believe what Nike, I believe, is saying, and what Mel Robbins is referring to is largely down to the decision. It's more about just make the decision.
Yes.
Not the action and the activity that then follows. Because and creativity and decisions, planning, making, it's a chain reaction. So absolutely there's a huge power, enormous power in that word just to get you over that line, to get you in terms of Nike, put your shoes on, get out the door. But what I worry about is the dismissal after the event.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just building a studio setup. I have dreamt about it for a very long time. I've looked in different countries when we've lived in different places. I have manifested it. I have printed postcards over the years or prints or run courses from my home or different places. And now I'm figuring out the costs and the connecting the power and ordering an FPOS machine and there is literally no just about it. And yet, if I said at the end of next year, oh, well, at the end of 2023, I just opened a studio, then it basically, and then I say that to other people, I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just go and do it.
Yep. It discounts the process and the thought that has to go into, like you said, like, just open the studio. For God's sake, just open the studio. Like, just do it. So there's a lot of elements that go into just opening a studio or just create the business or just write the book.
Yeah.
The just is the decision, I feel.
Yeah.
Make the decision. And then there's the hard work or the work or the process and if you're just going to do it, make it something that you're proud of.
Yeah.
And don't discount what it takes for you to just do it. Like, I sometimes think that, you know, so for me, like a really simple one, for me, yoga can be very emotional. And sometimes I'm like, just get on the mat. Just get on the mat. And there's certain poses, like there's one, it's called camel pose. So you literally like sort of lean right back and open like your whole chest up and throat up. And if I know that a session is going to have that pose in it, I just won't do it because I know that that pose can make me cry. And so to just get on the mat, which I love and enjoy and it nourishes me, some days mentally and emotionally, I just don't want to get on the mat. And then I just do get on the mat.
Yeah.
And then you know, if it is a quite emotional session, I feel better because I've like faced those emotions or worked them out of my body or whatever. But it can be a bit of a process for me to go, just get on the mat. Just get on the mat.
Yeah.
And it's like with anything. It's like, just take the photo, just open the studio, just write the book. Like you're the one making the decision and you're the one that has to show up.
Yeah. 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 I don't know what to say now.
Well, I think it's a deep, you know, we look at it on a pair of shoes and the tick, and you know that that tick means just do it.
Yeah.
Because their branding is so fabulous and their story is so ingrained and they, you know, like it's Nike. Like that's just do it. Like everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But like we were saying in the episode 5, the last one to this, your life, your art, you know, business is how you create it. And that can be really empowering or really disabling.
Yeah.
And it's the same with just do it. That can be really empowering or it can be really disabling.
Yeah.
It's all how we look at it.
Yeah.
And feel about it and how we process it ourselves.
Yeah. And I think also there's that element of, and this is something we talked about yesterday, is sometimes you just can't.
Yes.
Whether it is getting on a yoga mat or opening a studio space or writing a book. For whatever reason, at that stage, you just can't.
Yes. Well,
and that's totally valid.
It's taken, 30 years for you to open your studio and you've dreamed about it. And there may have been other opportunities, but you just couldn't at that time.
No. And also the element of support network and maybe finance and a supportive partner. And I I really love the phrase "just do it." I really love what Mel Robbins was saying. I guess my bone of contention really is it's so it's much more specific than, you know, just doing it.
Mm.
And it wouldn't be so catchy if it was just make the decision or
And
justified.
often,
But it's
when
more
you're
about that than it is the do.
yeah. So when you're at the point of just do it,
Mm.
there's been lead up to
Yeah.
that just do it.
Yep.
Because you had to have had the thought, the dream, the goal, the motivation, the whatever, to get to the point of just do it.
Mm.
You almost have to get to the point of, I'm sick of thinking about this. I have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Or, okay, so the opportunity or the space has come up for me to open a studio.
Mm.
This is the time that I make the decision
Yeah.
to just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And it's
before you make that decision, you've already thought about what you want the studio to look like, what you want it the space to be,
yeah.
why you're doing it, what was the goal. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of build up to the just do it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
experience
and
and
it's
there's
like I've said in a previous episode about what my dad's always said. You don't change something until you really have to.
Yeah.
And also I think, which is really awesome, because I've been thinking about it a lot, is it's such a natural next step for me at the moment, because I've had a lovely amount of exposure this year for different reasons. And I'm still returning to sharing on Instagram. And now my business deserves, and to maximize on all of those things, potentially needs that space.
yes.
It needs that space.
Yeah.
It's screaming out for it, really. And so, but like you said, the lead up to it, and then the action of all the different steps. It's I guess the just do it is much more about just take that first step.
Yeah.
Which is really, and it is really powerful. I mean, it's so powerful in the fact that we're talking about it. And I think that is that's what's interesting as well. And often, we share things because we want to open up conversations, not necessarily with us, but between other people, or questions in your own head, lines of curiosity. And it is really interesting, and I think it is really powerful. But I guess when we were getting very emotional yesterday was that it works for the decision, but not to use it as an after effect almost.
Yes.
Because would you get to 85 and say, oh well, I just lived every day?
Yeah.
Yes, you did just live every day, but you didn't just live 85 years of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the same when I submitted my application to have 15 weeks off from the hospital. I was sitting at the computer and the big green submit button for the leave form. And it was, I think it was about 11. It must have been before 11 o'clock at night, because I finished at 11. Must have been about like 10 o'clock. And I'd filled the form out at like 3:15. And I just left it on the desktop. And it was like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh. And I literally said to myself, just do it.
Yeah.
Just press the submit button.
Yeah.
However, the lead up
to
me taking all of my leave from the hospital and knowing in my heart that I'm going to commit and not go back to the hospital
Yeah.
after 22 years of, you know, it has been 22 years of experience of meeting the most beautiful people, of that job and the pay there. It has provided us with a great lifestyle. You know, like when the boys were little, I was always able to go to all the school functions. I was able to volunteer at the school. I was here for them all the time. Like, I was living on probably 2 hours sleep a day, and emotionally and mentally.
How did you do it?
I don't actually know. I look back now and think my poor husband was living with a complete nutbag, because I actually don't know how I did that. And I'm very grateful for the hospital because of what the lifestyle it has afforded us. But as you said, like with the studio, now it's a natural progression to... So it came about. So what kind of slapped me in the face was, I do a lot of training at work. I do a lot of the training of the new staff. And I'm like, we don't have like senior roles, but I'm considered like a senior. And this young girl goes, so I was training her, and she's like, gosh, so much stuff. Like, you're just so knowledgeable. How long have you been here? And I was like, and the wave of shame and embarrassment that came over me was, I could feel it in my body. Like, I could feel it on my skin. I don't actually want to answer her because I'm not actually proud of it anymore. And I said to her, I started in 2001. And she goes, oh, that's the year I was born. Felt like saying, shut your face, you embryo. And I went, yeah, you know, I didn't say what I wanted to say to her. And she's a lovely girl, and we got on really well. And I was actually proud of how much I was able to teach her.
Yeah.
But now it is time for me to get out of that comfort zone, because I'm so comfortable there. I saw a thing this morning on, I don't actually know what it was on anyway. Was like, do you believe you can do it? And I was thinking of the hospital and my business, and I'm like, I believe on every time I walk into the shift in the hospital, I know and I believe so deeply, and just with every fibre of my being, that every piece of work that needs to get done that day by me will be done. There is it's not even a belief anymore. It's just like, it's in my DNA. Like, I know it will get done. And then I was thinking of my business, and I was like, questioning myself. I'm like, do I believe that I can build this business to how I want it to be? The space I want it to be, the feelings I want it to have, the people I want to bring in. Do I believe so deeply in myself that I have that same feeling that I have at the hospital, that I can create this space? Like, I know I create that space at the hospital.
Yeah.
I know that people have complete trust in me that I work with. The nursing staff, the medical staff, they know that they can come to me, and whatever they ask, it will be done.
Yeah.
And I know, I believe, it's so deep in me that it doesn't matter if there's a cardiac arrest going on, or there's someone being tackled on the floor next to me, or there's 3 phones going off and I've got, you know, whatever's going on in the emergency department. It's like I have a bubble around me and I can just get stuff done. And it's like, do I believe that I have that in me, in this thing that I'm creating from my heart? And that's where the just do it does need clarification.
Yeah.
Because when I'm sitting there waiting to press that submit button, all of these belief questions were coming through.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I can earn, you know, $3,000 a fortnight at the hospital. I show up, I do the work, I get paid.
Yeah.
Do I believe that I can bring that amount in my own business?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? The just do it. We're much more complex as human beings, and particularly as women, for that to actually fit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's being kind and thoughtful towards yourself.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
Deeply in believing in, once you make that decision to just do it.
Yeah.
Believing that
You
you
can keep
will
doing it.
take one step at a time
Yes.
and keep doing it.
Yeah.
And like the last episode, having the space, like now I'm going to have the space. So I've taken leave from the hospital. So it's 15 weeks leave. I can go back. I haven't quit. Like I can go back. But in my mind, I've already resigned.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's time.
Yeah.
For me to deeply build this belief and trust in myself.
Yeah.
I can easily go back to the hospital, sit in my comfort zone, but where's the growth in that? Where's the opportunity? Where's the, open spaces? Because I'm putting myself back in that box. And I'll whinge about it and there'll be excuses and I'll cry on the way to work and I'll work another Christmas and I'll not be here for dinner with Scott and the boys and,
Yeah.
there's so many excuses I can have to not just do it.
Yeah.
And then I hit the submit button and then I text my best friend who works at the hospital as well and I'm like, and she was on her way to England and I was like, fuck, I've just taken 15 weeks off work.
So you've given yourself maternity leave for the next stage of your life.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah.
I know it's so beautiful to have a friend that immediately texts back and just like, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I'm so excited for what you create.
Yeah.
We can have lunch more. Like, I just want to cuddle you. I can't wait to see you. I'm so proud of you. Like, yeah, to have someone that believed so much in me.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been waiting for this. Like to have someone that's just like, I'm so bloody proud that you're going to believe in yourself that much.
Yeah. 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 And that goes back to what we were talking about in the just do it, is sometimes you need to ensure that you have that before you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not just doing it.
No. Anyway, I think we should
that is nearly another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So we need to wrap up.
Okay. If you've got any thoughts on this, do drop us messages or we'd love you to share the podcast. And next week we will decide what we're going to chat about. And then we'll probably take a couple of weeks breather over sort of Christmas and New Year. And yeah, do let us know what you think of the podcast, and do let us know if it's helping you, raising any questions. Share it with anybody that you think that might need a little bit of a nudge, or that they're struggling, or they need a little bit of inspiration. And if you want to talk about these things further, Melinda is offering amazing mentoring packages. I'm in the space of lots of creating and photographing and building the studio. I do mentoring, but Melinda's your lady at the moment. Yeah, it's been good.
It's been great, as always. Always. All right. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Oh, there we go.